This morning, let's explore echo-like communication. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. Every day and every way, I'm looking more and more like Hermione Granger, don't you think? This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you want to meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the toasty sands of Tatooine, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Once again, this morning we could explore echo-like communication that you could meditate like a Jedi. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, do not be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window, whoopsie, on the right-hand side of your screen. Unless you're watching a replay, dun dun dun, then simply type your question in the comment area below. This morning, let us turn to the 14th passage of Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, the View, Meditation, and Action, Virtuous in the Beginning, Middle, and End. The final meditation manual composed by the great Tibetan yogi Zalpatrul Rinpoche in the late 1800s. This version has been translated by the Padmakara group, as well as paraphrased and amplified by yours truly. The 14th passage reads, "All talk is like an echo, said the Buddhas, but these days it is more like the re-echo of an echo. What the echoes say and what they mean are not the same. So do not take any notice of these insidious echo words." I'm reminded of the words of Christ as recorded in the Christian New Testament. And I'm going to paraphrase and translate. Be as innocent as doves, but as wise as serpents. So for us who meditate, what could that mean? Simple. Choose to give the benefit of the doubt, but do not put your palms over your ears and scream at la 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 when your centered spontaneity tells you that this individual is trouble. What is centered spontaneity? Centered spontaneity is the fringe benefit of effectively blending mindfulness and meditation with your inhalation and exhalation respectively. It is the successful way. It is the fringe benefit of turning from the path of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive, and enthusiastically pursuing a lifestyle of being flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, and cooperative. Meditate in this way, and you will be led more and more by centered spontaneity. And so, despite giving the benefit of the doubt, if centered spontaneity does its imitation of the Amityville horror and says, "Get out," then you should go. Hit the road. To paraphrase, I think her name is something Sarah, Ella Sarah. If you know the name of the Red Witch from Game of Thrones, please tell me her name. Type her name in the chat window. But the Red Witch who served the Lord of Light and was fond of saying, "The night is dark and full of terrors. Well, similarly, the ocean is vast and full of predators. And the ocean of humanity, I might say. Many predators, even more fools. So it's okay to give the benefit of the doubt, but watch as people enthusiastically tear off their own Mission Impossible latex mask and show you who they are underneath. May I share an example from my own life? Last week, I received a sales call from a young man trying to part the Buddha Joy Meditation School from its funds. And he was young, dumb, and full of folly. And he tried using salesman manipulation tactics on me. He tried to get me to say the word yes. He tried to get leverage on me, asking me all sorts of unnecessary questions, trying to get me in a state of hypersuggestibility. And when I called him on that politely, I don't know what the proper word is, but as an uncle would scold a nephew, I'd say, I tried explaining to him that, young man, the way you're communicating to me is you're choosing to be deaf to the needs of my business, and you're choosing to be overbearing and domineering. And he said, well, if you don't trust me, we can't do business, which is a takeaway. And it's also an act of gaslighting. When the humble are confronted with their errors, they apologize and try to do better. When the narcissistic are confronted with the errors, they attack the person pointing it out to them. Well, you just don't trust me enough. Here's a good rule of thumb. Trust those who never ask for your trust. Do not trust those who demand your trust. So, what's the takeaway from this? Meditate every 12 hours, and you will have a Teflon halo, metaphorically speaking. Before we start this morning's chanting and meditating and contemplating, I think it could be great fun, but useful, if we did some housekeeping for a whopping 15 seconds. If there are lessons you'd like to request, or if you simply wish to support the continued availability of these classes, there is a Patreon link in the description area below the video. It's time to bake my back. Let's see, what am I looking for? I think I'm looking for the right button. Okay. Let us chant 3 times a recitation of loving motivation and enthusiasm to train. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Okay, let's chant the 16 pages of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. I think you'll enjoy some of the additions I've made to aid in comprehension. The enlightening being who notices the cries of the world, while moving in the deep peace of perfect understanding, shed light on the 5 aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she overcame all pain. We'll explain the 5 aggregates in a few minutes. Right now we're going to focus on the mysterious word of emptiness, also known as voidness, translated from the Sanskrit shunyata. If we take it literally, we will squander years with philosophy or blind faith. However, if we practice it figuratively, The door of wisdom swings wide upon its well-oiled hinges. So we begin with the basic meditation practice. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing." But why would we do that? Because we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system with every inhalation, thus supporting the sensory acuity that allows us to notice sensations, flavors, scents, sounds, sights, sensations, flavors, scents, sounds, sights, and the like, in addition to emotion, intention, reason, recollection, and imagination. When we perceive these things the way we evolved to perceive them, which is vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and spontaneously, then we find the only label we start using is merely the pronoun "this." But whatever are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? Well, fortunately, every exhalation accesses our parasympathetic nervous system, which supports both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release. So whatever we notice when we breathe in, once we start breathing out, it could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So, sing along with me. What's a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand? Gotta have fun, my friends. Gotta have fun. When we allow our body's natural processes to help us explore the empty nature of whatever we spontaneously notice, we could find ourselves releasing our habitual resistance to the presence of what we hate, releasing our habitual resistance to the absence of what we crave, releasing our habitual resistance to the loss of that to which we cling. In other words, although meditating might not make us the wise and powerful Oz, it will help us to make peace with the present moment, be it glorious or grotesque. In other words, it will help us to make peace with the pain. Let's continue chanting. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with feeling, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. And as promised, we would explore the 5 aggregates. Do not get lost in the pseudo-spirituality of moronic metaphysics. The Buddha didn't. Sometimes he talked about 5 aggregates, sometimes he talked about 12 interdependent links, sometimes less, sometimes more. His focus was not on memorizing and outlining and categorizing phenomena, but on noticing and letting go. So, according to this text, the 5 aggregates are form, feeling, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. In other words, body, our sensations of pleasure, pain, or neither, the intensity of those sensations, in reaction to those to that intensity, our primal drives of shoving, reaching, and clinging, and perception, our awareness of the whole process. Or, another way of viewing it is the effect of those drives upon our perception. Let us explore dualities together. Listen, Shariputra, phenomena are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. The following contemplation is inspired by the teachings of the third Chan patriarch. This and that, how not to. Once we've gotten more and more comfortable with noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, then this contemplation becomes very, very easy. This and that is whatever we notice and dread, or notice and crave. And this is simply an application of our natural relaxation, which creates the illusion of non-graspability. So we're not saying there ain't no difference between chocolate and doggy do. What we're saying is when we notice chocolate on the in-breath and relax on the out-breath, that chocolate feels non-graspable. When we notice doggy do on the in-breath and then relax on the out-breath, that doggy do feels non-graspable. And so all things that we perceive, recall, or imagine could feel like they are of the same taste, metaphorically speaking, during our exhalation. So this is the optimum use of emptiness as a tool to help us free us from the prison of the basic duality of Buddhism, which is not self and others, it is simply dread and desire, hating and craving. Let's continue. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, no awareness. There is no form that cannot be noticed. There is no form that cannot be released. There is no feeling that cannot be noticed. There is no feeling that it cannot be released. Ad infinitum. Now we're going to deconstruct the three circles of experience. No sensation, no flavor, no sound, no sight, no phenomena. So that's the object of observation. Now let's explore the means of observation together. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind. Now let's explore the experience of observation. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing. So here we see, 6 times 3, 18 variations of the basic meditation. Sensation, relaxing this body, relaxing this feeling, relaxing. I shit you not, literally, twice, my lovely, wonderful partner brought home Thai cuisine from the same restaurant, and twice within 6 months, I think within 3 months, I had horrible stomach poisoning. Because of the nature of one of my facets of brain damage, it's called dysautonomia. I have a reversed reaction to food poisoning. Most people, when they have food poisoning, the first thing they do is vomit their brains out. And then they shit like it's going out of style. Because of dysautonomia, I cannot vomit until I've shit first, which is the opposite. Which means I got to enjoy hours of writhing and pain as my body experienced accelerated peristalsis. So you can imagine that meditating on the three circles of sensation was helpful. So we're meditating on the three facets, or marks of reality, which we'll get to in several minutes. Anyway, let's move on. And at last, we're going to demystify the 12 interdependent links. Let's chant. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them from confusion to aging and death. Okay, so here they are, set out, all 12. Once you look at them, you'll be like, it's no big deal. It's just supposed to show interdependence. There are no secrets here. Confusions, competitiveness, and clinging affect our behavior. Our behavior affects our mind. Our mind has an effect upon the 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates influence our 6 organs of perceptions, and the contact of the 6 organs of perception upon the objects of perception, like we've noticed a few moments ago. That affects our experience of pleasure, pain, or neither. That affects our drives, which affects our clinging, which has an influence upon our existence, which superstitiously affects our next rebirth, literally or figuratively, whichever way speaks to you. For instance, every 7 years I get a new body. The things that affected me 7 years ago, those chickens have come home to roost now. Fortunately, it also works for positive things like adapting a whole food vegan diet. Let's continue. And 12, aging and dense, under the influence of the first link of confusion. So the reason it is glossed over here in the root text is because the minutia is incredibly unimportant. Fools major in minors. What's most important is we notice and we let go. We notice and let go of the things that seem to affect us. We notice and let go of the things that don't seem to affect us. Let's continue. No stress, no exacerbation, no liberation, no path, no understanding, no attainment. Because there is no attainment, the bodhisattva supported. By the perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for their minds. Having no obstacles, they overcome the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. Run away from any teacher who says, select your emotions. No. Selecting our emotions is indulging our controlling tendencies. Allowing emotions to come and go on their own or with the help of outside influences is the path of being laid back. You cannot, the controlling accomplish many things, but peace is not one of them. They laid back are the princes and princesses of peace. That's right, folks. I never met an alliteration I didn't like. or wouldn't assail you with. So we're not overcoming the presence of fear, but the tyranny of fear. Fear is still there. It just doesn't turn us into a screaming behemoth. You like that phrase? I stole it myself way back in high school. Together. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding, all private, full, right, and universal enlightenment. So we just said over here, no attainment. Dun, dun, dun. And over here we're talking about universal enlightenment. So is that a contradiction? No. We're saying there's no attainment that cannot be noticed. There is no attainment that cannot be released in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. How cool is that? Let's continue. Therefore, one should know that perfect understanding is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra. The destroyer, boy, I'm having troubles with the R's recently. Destroyer, okay. The destroyer of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra prasha paramita shall therefore be proclaimed. So I'm going to change this into a different, I'm going to do a paraphrase because that's how I roll. And you know wow, I'm really typing creatively. And we know it's a paraphrase because I've put it in italics. A mantra prasha paramita could therefore be proclaimed. And this is the mantra gate gate parasam gate buddhiswaha. So I'm taking a figurative approach to the translation. What's new? May also notice, relax and release that we go completely and perfectly go to enlightenment. So that's it. We're not asking for a real or imagined entity to come down to the ethers and give us candy. We're simply saying, hey, let's do this deal. Let's practice with the utmost of zeal, which, my friends, is the sixfold of the eightfold path. So we've already explored this morning how to practice the fundamental meditation. How cool is that? But as explicitly taught by the third Chan patriarch, turmoil comes. And our job is not to put our hands over our ears and go, la la la, there is no turmoil, I am awesome. We're not going to do that. We're going to say, oh, look, it's that motherfucker. That's right. We're going to channel Samuel Jackson. Is it Samuel L. Jackson? Is that it? Anyway. We're going to do it with 3 rhetorical questions and an intention. The first rhetorical question, how could this feel stressful? The second exercise is the intention. Now for all, soothe all stress. If stress is sucky for me, it's probably sucky for everybody else too. We don't have to force ourselves to feel anything. Simply by playing with these words in harmony with our breathing exercises the appropriate neural pathways. The second rhetorical question is, how could this never last? Remember, these are rhetorical questions. We don't gotta answer them. The third one, the spooky one, is, how could this not be me? This question is not designed to help us swan dive into the deep end of the pool of philosophy. It's not designed to make us superstitiously just blindly believe. It's a tool, simply a tool, to loosen our grasp on our experience in harmony with our exhalation. We play with this, and here's the thing. Give yourself permission to inhale enthusiastically. Listen to your body, don't hurt yourself, but allowing enthusiasm to influence your breathing can help you to transcend this. And so we're not just practicing hedonistically. It's not like, dude, I want me some bliss, and if anything comes up, I'm going to blast it with my imaginary shotgun like Elmer Fudd with Daffy Duck. Please don't. It's more like this. I'm just chilling like a spider in the bathtub, hanging out. And when turmoil comes up, dread or desire, anything, a memory, fatigue, antsiness, when something comes up, I'm going to drop it into the spinning Cuisinart of these 4 exercises and benefit from it. So it's kind of like this. Remember when you were a kid and you watch these reruns of cartoons from the 60s or the 50s? Remember Underdog had a ring, and you opened it up, and there was this power pill that had transformed him into a humble shoeshine boy, into Underdog? Well, when life throws us doggy-doo, we can use that. Just, oh, better yet, remember the first Back to the Future memory when Doc returns and he's rifling through the trash and putting compostable material into this device called the Mr. Fusion, instead of Mr. Coffee, Mr. Fusion, and that powered his DeLorean. Similarly, this is our Mr. Fusion. And when life throws us bullshit, we put it into Mr. Fusion, and it fuels our spiritual transformation. How cool is that? It turns us from a moisture farmer into a Jedi Knight. Yeah! Okay. It's 30 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate like the dorkabods that we are. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm drowning in mucus. I gotta hose my nose. I'm sure that's gross. Checking for brains. This text is already available for free download. Just use the link in the description area below. If you decide you're tired of my bullshit and you want to call it a day, that's fine. Download your copy and conclude with a recitation of the 4 immeasurables. You'll be glad you did. It's always good to end with a loving intention. The masters of Mahamudra and Dzogchen agree that it's always best to begin and end your practice with love. Even the Buddha said that he described 11 benefits of training in love. When you feel boredom, play with these 4 exercises. It might not make the boredom go away, but it will reduce it in size. It will shrink it down, like what happened to Daffy Duck on his adventure with Bugs Bunny after he desecrated the genie of the lamp. One of the gifts we received from the traditions of Mahamudra and Dzogchen is the idea of meditating, of allowing the motion of a pendulum to describe our meditation. As a pendulum swings from left to right and back, likewise our mind swings from activity to passivity and back. When our mind is passive, we just chill with notice this relaxing. When our mind starts getting active, we use its enthusiasm to put it to work. Hey dog, why don't you pull this sled for me? You know, my grandmother put me to work when I got really hyper, and it's like, and I'd start cleaning the kitchen. Because I thought it was fun. Little boy just, you know, modeling those he imprinted upon. You know, so I thought a grown-up's clean kitchen, so I was going to be a grown-up and clean the kitchen too. So likewise, when our mind gets enthusiastic, instead of cursing it for being enthusiastic, we say, "Cool, you're enthusiastic. Let's put that energy to work. Let's play with these 4 exercises." And then when you feel a little bit more sedate, we can return to the sitting and the chilling, to the chillaxing. Was that popular back in the 90s, that saying? And a piece of advice I give to my students, to my students who aspire to teach, is be yourself. If you're a sci-fi geek, be a sci-fi geek. If you're a naughty Southern belle, then be a naughty Southern belle. If you are a wrestler, then be a wrestler. Allow your uniqueness and eccentricities to help people who are uniquely wired to appreciate those things, whether it's being the female version of Leghorn, Foghorn, or it's the spiritual version of Hulk Hogan, or, you know, a wannabe Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you ever feel like you're losing motivation to recite loving wishes, watch the damn news. That'll fill you with empathy. If you ever grow tired of silently and mentally reciting "Now for all, soothe all stress," watch the news. You'll see plenty of stress. And you won't have to force yourself to be empathetic. We're already wired to be empathetic. The hub of our mirror neurons is a piece of tissue in the middle of our brain called the anterior cingulate gyrus. We're already wired to give a flying fuck. Oh yeah, I said it. Flying. When you don't feel empathetic, that's not because you're a bad person. It's a stress reaction. Anthropology has shown that stress knocks us out of the part of the brain that empathizes and forces into the brain's basement where fear lives and ruthlessness. That's one of the reasons we meditate, so we can climb up the cellar stairs back to the kitchen where it's warm. If I wanted to be poetic, I'd say, where our heart is warmed with the impulses of empathy. Ah! Insert choir of angels here. Like from a 1970s margarine commercial. Of course, as a fan of John Williams, all my imaginary choirs transform into the Duel of the Fates. Oh yes, and of course, Il Fortuna from The Omen. Maybe I'm getting confused on that.